next to Dennis and Judith Jones Visitor and Education Center. The museum is on Lindell Boulevard.
This is how far it is from school.
The museum was originally only one building. This part of the museum is called the Jefferson Memorial Building. It was built because the Missouri Historical Society, the society that operates the museum, wanted to preserve St. Louis's and Missouri's history. They also wanted to commemorate Jefferson's purchase of the Louisiana Territory.
The architectural style of the Jefferson Memorial Building is Beaux Arts. This particular style draws upon the principles of French neoclassicism, but it also incorporates Renaissance and Baroque elements. The photo you're currently seeing is an example of this style from a building in Italy. The architect of the Jefferson Memorial Building is Isaac Taylor. Born in 1850 in Nashville, Tennessee, he lived most of his life in St. Louis. He is considered one of the most important architects in St. Louis and the Midwest. He designed commercial, residential, industrial, and governmental structures. The photo you're currently seeing is Taylor standing in front of the building he designed, the Jefferson Memorial Building.
The Jefferson Memorial Building was originally used as a memorial and a public museum. The only exhibit in the Jefferson Memorial Building today is the 1904 World's Fair exhibit. In 2000, the museum gained a new building called the Emerson Center. The center can host traveling expeditions, historical themes, lectures, social gatherings, and theatrical performances. The Seeking St. Louis exhibit is a major part of the center. Another highlight of the center is the Spirit of St. Louis, a replica of the aircraft flown by Charles A. Lindbergh. The Emerson Center also houses a restaurant and a gift shop.
Before we begin our tour of the permanent exhibits, we wanted to take note of a few more interesting photos of the museum's history. The first photo you see is the Jefferson Memorial Building Dedication Parade in Forest Park. This photo was taken on April 30th, 1913, and many schools walked in the parade to honor the new building. This second photo was taken in 1932 in the Thomas Jefferson Memorial part of the building. At the time, it housed a Charles Lindbergh exhibit.
During our tour, we also happened to come across a ragtime band playing some St. Louis classics.
Before we begin our first section of the tour, we want to clarify that Seeking St. Louis, the first exhibit we're going to cover today, has two sections, Currents and Reflections. We are starting our tour in the Current section of the Seeking St. Louis exhibit. One of the highlights, at least for Charlotte and I in this exhibit, was the section on the Great Fire and the real-life portrait of Thomas Targhee, an absolute icon. We all know Madame was a material girl, and we should all aspire to be like her.
Bastard children and all.
This next section of the exhibit features facts and history about the St. Louis levee and the cholera epidemic, which wiped out 10% of St. Louis's population. As we know, many children were killed by the cholera epidemic, but it was very surreal for us to see these tiny coffins and these small headstones in person. Doctors carried several types of medicines in briefcases like this one to cure the cholera, but to no avail.
This water pump shows the dirty water that caused cholera to spread so much.
section focuses on images in St. Louis, and the core question asked here is how do you remember? And this features several portraits, family pictures, raw moments of families who want to keep their memories alive.
Talks about labor and how important it was to the growth of St. Louis. Focuses on the boundaries that were made for St. Louis and how they came to be. By the surveyors of St. Louis are located in here as well. Scott's portrait is also located inside of this section, but unfortunately, on the day of our visit and the day of our tour, it was not available to look at. This painting shows a slave sale in St. Louis. Now we transition to the second half of the exhibit, Reflections. The first part of this exhibit focuses on suburbia in St. Louis and what it looked like starting especially in the 50s. Of a kitchen that would have existed in a suburban home in St. Louis in the 1950s. You'll notice the two nuns sitting on the window pane. This section focuses on suburbia in St. Louis as a whole and what the plan was. It also includes several artifacts, signs, and more detailing what suburban life was like then. Was also well known for their streetcars, a way to get around the city. This section focuses on the detailed plans architects had for St. Louis suburbs. This section talks about a neighborhood that was predominantly made up of African Americans. Sadly, this neighborhood was torn down. This section focuses on the music and musicians of St. Louis, including icons like Chuck Berry and many more. section talks about other forms of art other than music, including writing.
Was a major turning point for St. Louis, and this section focuses on the people who made history.
These signs here talk about how Cardinal Ritter desegregated Catholic schools in St. Louis. Also talks about LGBTQ+ rights and disability rights in St. Louis, and the many people that fought for those rights.
While both world wars shook the nation, St. Louis was no exception. This section focuses on the heroes who fought both at home and overseas.
Vietnam.
This next section focuses on the regular people of St. Louis who helped make dreams a reality.
And leisure of normal St. Louis citizens. This section also includes sports and how important they were to the history of St. Louis. of old also helped create a lot of the parks that we see today.
We've now entered the Thomas Jefferson Memorial Building part of the museum, where the 1904 World's Fair exhibit is located.
This exhibit really hasn't changed that much since its initial creation.
One of the most defining characteristics of the 1904 World's Fair exhibit versus the Seeking St. Louis exhibit is that the 1904 exhibit is mainly comprised of artifacts that were brought by people from all over the world to the fair. Was this gate? We're not 100% sure what it is. It was beautiful, but we still don't know. This is a balcony that lines the rim of the entire exhibit. One of the interesting things about the balcony is that there are two paintings that line the walls, and they both depict what the 1904 World's Fair looked like at the time, including the temporary waterfall. We also thought it was very interesting that this golden book of all the nations was included. There are also several distinct architectural features that line the exhibit, like on the ceiling here.
the entrance of the building, there is a plaque that commemorates the Louisiana Purchase Exposition.